going to be my freshman advice video, and I'm just going to quickly do a disclaimer. This isn't my room. I'm at my sister's for the summer, my older sister, in North Carolina, so I have some weird stuff that actually is mine, like that guitar that I didn't bring with me because I have a whole bunch of stuff here, but this is kind of like her den and storage, so there's like a whole bunch of storage back there, and this isn't kind of how my room's set up. But I'm gonna be here for a few weeks, so I figured I'd tell you guys, and then there's gonna be another change of scenery, so yeah. I am a senior this year, so I've kind of been through the whole freshman and grades following kind of experience. So this is like what I wish I would have known, what I found helpful, and just tips like that, and things I was wondering going into freshman year. And I just made a list right here on my computer, so if I look down, that is why, because I'm looking at my list. I didn't like write out a script or anything, just like bullet points so I know what to talk about and I get everything in because I don't want to miss something. So the first thing I want to talk about is to go to orientation. You normally have this like a week or a few days before school starts, and you get your schedule and a lot of times your locker assignments and things like that, and you get to walk around the school and kind of learn where all your classes are, and that really helps because normally it's just for freshmen and new coming students, so there's fewer students in the school at the time, and you don't have to worry about like coming to the first day of school and everybody's there and not knowing where your classes are and not being able to find them or anything, and there's normally a lot of people willing to help. That being said, on your first day of school, first week normally they position staff around the school in certain areas just in case you have questions, so don't be too hard on yourself if you don't know where a class is. Something I quickly wanted to touch on was freshmen kind of like bullying and being picked on just because you're a freshman and kind of stuff like that. I feel like this is kind of inflated in a way, but it does have some truth to it. Some people pick on freshmen, but I don't think it's as much as picking on them just because they're freshmen. So if you see it in movies all the time where, oh yeah, you're a stupid freshman and stuff like that, and that's kind of not how it works. Normally for somebody to kind of like start stuff with you is if you start stuff with them, and then they'll be like, what are you doing? You're a freshman, like you're just a stupid freshman and stuff like that. So just like stuff like that. Like I never would say that, but that may happen if you start stuff with people. Anybody will kind of react in high school if you're starting stuff. You don't want to be the kid that starts stuff all the time, and that if you just so happen to be a freshman and somebody knows that and they're a higher grade, they're going to use the you're a freshman thing. But I don't see anybody starting stuff with people just because they're freshmen. That doesn't really happen. That being said, you don't exactly want to stand out as a freshman either. You don't want to be running down the hallway screaming and making animal noises. It sounds ridiculous, but it happens. So that's just kind of the whole freshman stereotype being picked on thing. I feel like a lot of middle schoolers coming into high school are worried about how hard high school will be. High school is a little bit harder in the sense that every year is harder than the year before it. Like 7th grade was harder than 6th grade and stuff like that. So you do expect for it to be harder, but not in the sense that it's too much to handle. You may have more outside like reading and essays and everything, and I would say the only thing harder is that you have to manage your time and you're not babied as much. You may have 5 tests, 3 quizzes, and 2 projects due one day. I've had that happen. It really is not fun to do, to get all of that in, but at the same time you have to do it, and at the end of the day you'll get it done, and then you're kind of like relieved of stress for a few days. But I feel like in middle school they tried to kind of like have everything more spread out, and they usually don't make that effort in high school just for the fact that everybody has different classes. Some middle schoolers had different classes, but a lot of times you kind of traveled with the same group to your core classes. A lot of high schools you may have only one person in each class that you know, and that and they're completely different people. So the teachers don't really come together, especially at bigger schools. I have been to a school that if you mention your math teacher, your English teacher might not even know who they are. They're like, oh, I've never heard of that person before. And you're like, oh, you know, she's taught here for 10 years. But stuff like that. So you do have more freedom because of that. But it's not exactly harder work. It just takes longer, and it kind of makes you have to balance your time more. Speaking of balancing time, get involved in school, and this will make everything a lot harder on the whole balancing time thing, but it's worth it, and let me explain why. I was a cheerleader freshman year, so I had cheerleading practice Monday through Friday from 2:30 to 5. I didn't get home till about 6 after everything was done, and I had games most Saturdays, so I was really busy throughout the week. But getting involved is really kind of worth it because it's great to put on your college applications. It makes you more excited about school, and statistics show that when you're involved in school, you get better grades because it's a more friendly environment and everything, and this is really true. So get involved, and you make friends this way. You have a lot of fun and everything, so it's really worth it. Just get involved. I know it may seem like a big time commitment. Some sports and clubs and everything don't take as much time, and some take more, so just make sure you're ready for that time commitment, but it's really worth it. Next thing I want to touch on was don't be that kid, and that kid was the one running in hallways making animal noises that I aforementioned. But you don't want to be that kid because you may get cheap laughs, but at the same time everybody's kind of secretly thinking like, why is that kid such an idiot? And I feel like a lot of kids who want that type of attention, they kind of dumb themselves down, or they act more immature than they actually are just because they know people will laugh, and you're kind of selling yourself short that way. I know plenty of people who act kind of dumb in a way. I don't want to be rude or anything, but kind of like dumb themselves down when they're really intelligent people that have something to say, and they just act like they don't because they'll get laughs. Or the kid that talks back to the teacher when he would really be really respectful at home just because he knows somebody will laugh, and everybody kind of loses respect for that person because they don't kind of treat themselves with that type of respect. And I think that is kind of like a big deal. Like, just don't sell yourself short. Don't be that kid in any sense of the word, or that girl or anything. It's just not a good thing, and just kind of stay away from that. You'll have short-lived attention with it, but at the same time you'll be breaking down like the respect that some people have for you. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the change people go through in high school, and you'll hear people in middle school talk about how I'll never do drugs, I'll never drink, I'll never smoke, stuff like that, and as soon as they're freshmen, they are partying all the time and drinking all the time and stuff like that. So it's kind of just up to you to decide like where your boundary is, what you will and won't do. And if you want to smoke, do whatever, that's your business. That's okay. If you don't want to, that's okay too. So just make sure you kind of set your boundaries and you kind of think about that, especially with if you know people, if you're hanging out with people that do those things and you don't want to and stuff like that. So just set your boundaries and don't cross them. I feel like you talk about peer pressure in elementary and middle school, but you don't talk about it in high school, which a lot of the peer pressure kind of starts, and that's where you kind of see it the most. So just know what you're going into and decide who you want to be, what your morals are, or what you find okay. So it's just kind of up to you. It doesn't really matter either way. You just don't want to be stuck doing something that you regret later. So just don't feel pressured into it. My next point is to do well in high school. I feel like a lot of people, I just said like 30 times in this video, a lot of people kind of slack off freshman year because they think that it's an easy year, they just got into high school and everything, but your senior year really isn't on your college application. So this is kind of specific to college applications. There I go again. Your freshman, sophomore, and junior year are really the only grades that you kind of submit to colleges, and it's your only chance to show who you are as an academic and how much you take your education seriously. This is 33% of your application essentially. So you don't want to slack off and get like C's, D's, and F's and have to dig yourself out of a hole when you know you could have just kind of done the work. It is the easiest year of your like high school career. I think junior year is your hardest, but it is your easiest year. And don't slack off just because you can. You're going to kind of regret it later, and it's the easy year and you're going to be like, why did I slack off freshman year of all years? Do your homework. This kind of seems like a no-brainer along with the do well in school type of thing, but I've had a class where 10% of your grade was homework, and we only had 2 homework assignments for the grading period, and I turned in one, but I completely forgot about the other one, and that was one homework that I didn't turn in. And since we only had 2 like homeworks on the grade, that was 5 points off my like grade for the grading period because I got a 0 on it, and that was really disappointing to me because it was something really easy and something I could have done in like 5 minutes, and I didn't turn it in because I forgot. And so you want to just make sure you stay organized and everything, that way you don't forget about things, and homework can really bite you in the butt at the end of the day. For the most part, math and stuff like that, you'll have homework almost every day for a lot of math classes, and it may seem like, oh, missing one homework won't be that big of a deal, and it usually isn't until you like don't know the material on the test and stuff like that. Because if you're not practicing at home, you may not know exactly how to do it on the test, especially even if you're a good tester, and so you want to make sure you have all your homework done. It just may seem like a no-brainer, but just figure out to touch on it. My next 2 things I wanted to talk about was to take good notes and to stay organized, but those 2 are 2 separate videos, so check those out. And thanks guys for watching. You can subscribe and like this video, and yeah, so have a great year, and I know you guys will all do great. Bye.